welcome back to my channel According to Kat. If you are new here, please introduce yourself in the comments below. If you're returning, just say hi. And what are we going to be making today?
Okay everyone, so you asked for more compilation videos, so here is my top 10 summer DIYs. They are both nautical and farmhouse, and if you want to learn how to make them, stay tuned.
If you'd like to know what supplies I've used, please check out the description box below. And let's get right into it.
Okay everyone, DIY number 1, nautical blue stone sign. The first thing I did was I took these 3 mint colored frames from the Dollar Tree. They are 4x6, and I'm using some Mod Podge, these bluish green stones from the Dollar Tree, some wood cutouts that are nautical themed from the Dollar Tree, and some Waverly white chalk paint, a glue gun, my E6000, or you can use the Fix-All from Dollar Tree. I like that just a little bit more because the scent isn't as strong. Now I'm taking the inside picture out and flipping it over just in case you can see it through the rocks, and I'd rather it be plain white than any picture underneath. So this is kind of what I did wrong here. I put in some Mod Podge, put some stones, and then poured Mod Podge on top and stirred it inside each of the frames. If I would do this over, I would take a big bowl, throw all my stones in, pour a bunch of Mod Podge in, mix it around, and then pour that concoction in each of the frames. It would have been much easier, but in hindsight, yeah, it would have been much easier. So I used 2 bags of the stones, and it just would have been a lot easier to put it in a bowl, but it still worked out. And when that dries, which will take like 2 days, it becomes extremely solid. Like you're not even picking those stones out. And at this point, I am just flattening it out as much as I can. I am taking a baby wipe, going around the edges, taking off any of the extra Mod Podge, and now I'm just trying to flatten it. So I'm just taking a little piece of cardboard and I'm just flattening it the best I can before I set it aside to dry. Now I'm taking some plastic. I don't even know where I got that plastic, but oh, you know what? It was like, I think protector sheets, and I just cut it up. And I just laid it on top each of these and thought that it would help flatten it. I don't know if it did. I don't really think it did. So I think just pushing it down with that, piece of plastic and then putting it to the side would have been fine. All right, so the next thing I am doing is I'm taking my 3 wood pieces that are the nautical pieces from the Dollar Tree, and I'm giving them all a good coating of the Waverly Chalk Paint in white. So the next thing I'm doing is I am cutting off the sides of some of these wooden pieces because they did not fit into the frames, and I actually loved them off to the side. I think it gave it a great effect. I made the anchor full and I put that in the middle, and then I put one off to the one side to the left, one off to the right, and the anchor that was the full piece I put in the middle, and I just thought that gave it a really neat artsy effect. And yeah, so at first I was upset they didn't fit in the frames, and then after I was so happy they didn't fit in the frames because it just added a really cool element. So I'm just taking some hot glue and gluing it on, and the hot glue worked fine for me. If you want to use something stronger, you can, but the hot glue held it in place. Okay, so the next thing I did was I took these 2 pieces of wood that I got from Habitat for Humanity Restore, and they were 50 cents each, and I am going to glue them together. So I took some E6000 and I just kind of ran a bead right down the middle, and that will hold it permanently, while the hot glue will hold it instantly. And I just put a couple dabbles of hot glue on there, put it in place, and kind of just push it together, let it dry, and came back to it. So I am now roughing it up with some Dollar Tree sandpaper, and that was just to help it take the paint a little better. And I am putting on some Waverly Chalk Paint in white. I just gave it one good coat. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rough up the edges with that Dollar Tree sanding sponge. And I really love this sanding sponge. I think it does wear away rather quickly, but I really like it. I wish it just held out a little longer, but it really gets the job done. And now I'm just laying out the frames to see how I want them on and like spacing them apart. So I'm putting that middle frame directly in the middle and then judging the other two based on how much space I want in between. And this is my idea. This is my idea of getting it centered, taking rocks and putting it on either side and seeing how much room I have left over. Don't ask. That's just silly. I don't know what I was thinking. So now I took off the stands on the back of each of the frames, and I'm taking my Fix-All from the Dollar Tree, and I love that glue. It will hold it permanently, and I'm just putting that on all around that frame, just right on the actual wood. Wiping off any excess with a piece of cardboard and putting it right there in the center. Just taking off any excess glue that might be seeping out. And for my last one. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is I'm taking some twine and I'm just hot gluing it on the back. I will be putting it at the top and the bottom. And I am just hot gluing the piece. Now I'm just measuring the other piece for the bottom, making sure that somewhat the same size. So I wrap it around about the same amount of times. And I'm just hot gluing it on, and then I'll just wrap it around haphazardly, no rhyme or reason, and just wrap it. And then I'll hot glue it in the back once the twine is done. Just cutting off any excess, and that side's done. Now I will go to the next side, and you can see I just kind of wrap it around. I didn't want it straight. I do like the crisscross look, so that's what you're seeing here. And I just think it adds a really cool effect to it, and it made it a little more, I don't know, like rugged, I guess. And again, you can keep this step out if you don't like the twine. You can, again, do it any way you want. This is your project, and I just did what looked good to me. And right now I'm just taking some of the lighter. I'm using the lighter to burn off any extra fuzz on there. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it, but I enjoy that a lot. Okay, and here it is. I hope you like it. Okay, DIY number 2, Dollar Tree beach bag. All right, so the first thing I did was I took the decorative nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, some E6000, my glue gun, and 2 dish drying mats from Dollar Tree. And you can get whatever design you like. I thought this was really beachy and fun, and this is a super, super quick craft. You did not see this in my image in the beginning because I could not find the actual picture of this. I don't know why. I don't know where it went. So I just left it out. Now I am taking this mat, flipping it over, and I will take some E6000 and run a long line of glue all around 3 sides, leaving the top opened. Now I'm going back with some, right there you couldn't really see it, but I was going down the one side with hot glue. Now I don't want to go around all 3 sides with hot glue until I'm at that area, because you know how fast hot glue dries, and yeah, then you'd have to just go back over it anyway. So I am going in stages. I do one side and just put one long bead of hot glue. Now I'm doing the bottom. I will press that down. And you can see how I'm holding it in place. And now I'll just take some hot glue and run it up the sides. And the hot glue, again, will hold it while the E6000 is drying, because it does take a bit of time for the E6000 to dry. So now I'm just pushing it flat. And then I'll just take this board and put it on top and let that dry a little longer. And I'm just taking this decorative rope and I am burning off any extra fuzz. This step takes only a few seconds and it makes such a huge difference. Just make sure you're really safe about it. If you do it, you can see the difference. Look at that. Just keep a glass of water nearby, a water bottle, something that you could pour on top just in case. But I've never had a problem. It just kind of singes up and then disappears. But again, you do what you are comfortable with. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is I'm showing you how I'm attaching the handles, which is the nautical rope. I decided to use glue to attach the handles, but you can attach them any way you feel comfortable. You could cut a little slit in the actual drying mat and then run the rope through it. I did it this way and it's still holding strong. So yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out, so I'm okay with this. So right now I just used some E6000 and some hot glue to hold them in place. They did take a while to dry. I should have let them a little longer before I started messing with it, but I think a good strategy next time would be to use the super glue, which is the gel form. I love that one. It's from the Dollar Tree and it really holds pretty fast and permanent. So I love that glue as well. The only problem is it comes in such a small container. I do wish it was a little bigger, but I still love that glue. And here is my final product and I hope you like it. Okay, DIY number 3, Summer Nautical Rope Wreath. So the first thing I did was I took this wreath form from the Dollar Tree, and then I took 3 bunches of nautical rope. Now, 2 are from the Dollar Tree and 1 is from Dollar Zone, and it is a different thickness, and I didn't want to go out and get more, so I made it work. So I'm going to show you how I did that. I just took some hot glue and started wrapping the rope around, and you just keep wrapping. And you just kind of keep putting it through the middle and wrapping it around. So here you go. You can see this is 10 feet and this is 9.5 feet, but one rope is thicker than the other one. So now I'm going to show you how I fixed this problem. And I didn't even have enough. So the whole design of this wreath was me trying to fix the problems I had, and it turned out the way it did because of the problems I had. All right, so I took the 2 ropes that were the same and I put them on either side. Now I'm going to take the thinner rope that I had 1 of, and I'm going to take half of it and wrap it around that thick part, which I will use as the top. So I will just take half of it, and I want to make it go down the same on each side. So I kind of judged that by how much rope I had. So 5 feet on each side. That's how I kind of judged it. And then just cut that off. And that thick part again, I said was the top. So I'm just going to go to the other side of that thick part. And I'm going to just do the same thing and wrap it around. Now you can see I have 2 blank spaces. This is where I'm going to put my driftwood. The driftwood I got was from Dollar Zone. I love their driftwood. I used them in so many nautical pieces that I made in the summer. And yeah, so I need to go back to Dollar Zone and get that. I know a lot of people don't have the Dollar Zone, and I try not to get too much from there because I know it's hard to recreate, but you could always go to Hobby Lobby or something like that. But I just love their driftwood, so I need to go back once all this is over and get some. All right, so the next thing I did was I just took my lighter and burned off any fuzz. This seems to be a habit. It's like a trend in all my videos, and I'm just burning off any of those fuzzies. And now I'm taking some Waverly Chalk Paint in Hazelnut, and I'm just going over that green. And the reason I'm doing this is because if you can see through the driftwood, I do not want to see green. I would rather see that tannish brown, just like the rope. Let that dry. It was super quick. I didn't make a big deal out of it. And now I took this wooden piece from the Dollar Tree. It's one of those little nautical pieces, and I painted it in white with Waverly Chalk Paint. And waited for that to dry. Then I took a piece of twine. I put some hot glue right on the back, put that twine down, and just kind of wrapped it around the anchor piece. And I thought that looked really cute like that. So then I will just take that anchor, and that will be at the top, kind of hanging down a little bit. And that's how I did that part. All right, so now I'm just showing you that that's going to be the top. I kind of took the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon that they had, and I just wrapped that around, and I'm just burning off, I guess, extras that I saw hanging around. Okay, so now I just took out all of my pieces and just laying them out, seeing how I want to put them on. I almost used those driftwood pieces like puzzle pieces, and kept maneuvering them in different directions to see how they fit best. Started out with the bigger pieces and then moved down to the smaller pieces. I just used hot glue again, and that seemed to hold fine. I didn't have any problems. And now I'll just take some smaller pieces and just squeeze them in where I could. I wanted as little open space as I could get. And it added such a beachy element to this, and I thought it was so cool. And you can see I didn't put it all the way in the back, so it laid flat against the wall. And you can't even see it because, I put it around the sides and the inside and outside as much as I could. And then I just hot glued that right on to the top, and I think this is so cute. I love this little piece. It would be so neat for like a beach house. I hope you like it. Now on to DIY number 4, Mermaid Hooks. This one's for my daughter. I took this piece of wood from Habitat for Humanity Restore. It was for $1.50. And I took this welcome mermaid sign from the Dollar Tree. And I took this, it's kind of like a gray stain. I got it on the clearance rack at Joann Fabric. And I really like it. Now, if I would have kept it on like that, it would have dried just like that. But I decided to wipe some of it off because I wanted to have more of a, weathered wood, like at the beach. I wanted that effect. So the gray gave that to me, but I wanted a little brown in there as well. So now I'm going back with the Waverly Chalk Paint Waverly Antique Wax, and I put that on top and kind of blended those together, and you can see it, how that wood looks, and I love it. So now I'm taking this mermaid off of the sign, and I kind of broke her tail a bit, but I will fix that. And I knew I was going to put a tail on her anyway, so that's okay. I just glued what I could, and then I took some decorative paper from Hobby Lobby, and then I just covered that tail, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now I'm pulling out my paper, and it's not really even paper. It's kind of like a fabric, but you get it in the paper section at Hobby Lobby. And they have all different colors. They have blacks with silvers and golds, and so pretty. I got so many of them because they're so neat. I just traced her lower half, and then I hot glued it on. So it just gave it a little pizzazz to put on her wall. Now I took these seashells from the Dollar Tree, and I am showing you how I was going to lay them out. I wanted to space out how much room I had from my letters. I took the Waverly Chalk Paint in white and some acrylic paint, which is like a purple, and I wanted it to have a purple effect. And then I just used these 2-inch letters that I had. They're like stencils. But when I put my paint inside, it was not working it like I wanted it to. So I decided to go back with a pencil and just draw out each of the letters inside of those stencils. Now I am taking this really thin paintbrush, and I will take that same purple paint that I already made, and I will just paint right inside of those pencil lines, and I just went right down and wrote out mermaid. And then on the other side, I spelled out cove. I kept those little spaces between the letters and like on each of the letters. You don't have to do that, but I thought it gave it like a rugged look, like it would be at the beach. And now I'm going back with some sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and roughing it up. And then I take some of this Waverly Chalk Paint in Mineral. I do love this color so much. It's kind of like a gray khaki. And I'm going over those letters again to make it look very weathered from the beach. And I just thought it added such a cool effect. And there you go. And you can leave it just like this, but I did not leave it just like this. Sorry, my area is a mess. Don't look at it. Pretend you don't see it. So now I take this creepy cloth from the Dollar Tree. They sell it at Halloween time, and I use it as my netting. You can also use cheesecloth, but this is what the Dollar Tree calls their creepy cloth. And they do have summer netting, like nets, but they are very spaced apart, and for smaller projects, they just don't look right. So that's why I don't use that. The creepy cloth adds the same effect, but just the holes are smaller. So I am just kind of wrapping it around wherever on that wood piece and kind of like draping it like a fishing net would be. And I'm just using some hot glue on the back, and that held it just fine. Now be careful because there's a million holes and it will burn your fingers off. So try to have something there to use instead of your fingers. And there you go. I love it. So now I'm going over the mermaid in the center. She looked too perfect compared to the weathered sign. So what I did was first I took the Waverly Chalk Paint in Mineral and kind of just did the edges. Now I'm doing the Waverly Antique Wax. Again, I'm just going over all the edges of the mermaid just to give it a more aged look. And that, this effect really made it look how I wanted it to. Then I just took whatever's on my brush and kind of ran it over the letters. Now this is a hook device from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just taking off where you would hook it over your doors, and I just bent it back and forth with my pliers and it came right off. So I'm kind of measuring the center, and I will just use my staple gun, not really a staple gun. Well, I guess it's a staple gun, like not the ones with that you plug in. It's just like that kind of stuff. Heavy duty staple gun, heavy duty stapler. All right, so I'm just going along wherever you so I saw a space where I could put them, and this really held it in place, and we can hang clothes on it or anything and it hangs fine. Those staples are pretty heavy duty. Now I'm just taking this floral wire from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using that as my hanging device. You could also use the hooks that are on the back, but I did this just in case I couldn't use the hooks, and I just hot glued those end pieces on. And here is my finished product. I hope you like it. Halfway there, DIY number 5, Nautical Poof Wreath. So I took this mint green Waverly Chalk Paint and Pool and gave this anchor from the Dollar Tree a good coating. It's one of their big ones. Then I took this wreath form from the Dollar Tree. That khaki one was a mesh from Joann Fabrics, and you see this green burlap ribbon is from Dollar Tree. So what I did was I just tied it on right on like one of the cross pieces, and then I just kind of right in the middle section, you could see there's 3 sections to that wreath. Only in the middle section, I went right down and made like little folds. You know what it reminded me of? You know that candy? I know it's going to be impossible to describe right now because you can't see what I'm doing. But you know that candy that kind of like went in and out? Do you know what I'm talking about? it like folded. I don't even know what it was, but it was so pretty. It was like hard candy. Tell me if you know what that is in the comments below. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but it looks like those folds right there. So pretty, that candy. I don't even know if it tasted good, but it was just pretty. Okay, so the next thing I am doing is just continuing on with that. And if you cannot understand what I'm saying, just watch what I'm doing. It's a better gauge anyway. Okay, now I took this mesh, and the sale was buy one get two free at Joann Fabrics when I bought this. I really didn't know what I was going to do with it. I thought I was going to use it more like a burlap fabric, and no, you can't use it like a burlap fabric. It just was not working out. So what I did was I put it in the top section, looped it over, then I went down to the bottom section, like I twisted it in the back, and then brought it out the bottom section, pulled it up like a puff, twisted it in the back, pulled it out the top section, brought it out into a puff, twisted the back, and brought it down to the bottom section and brought it out like a puff. Stop, don't even. This is just ridiculous to try to explain this. I really should have just left this video to go by itself and say, it's self-explanatory. And then I just went through and I like hot glued any pieces that I thought looked a little like it was going to come undone, and any extra little straggles of string I cut off. And then I took my decorative nautical rope and I'm wrapping it around the big anchor. I use some Fix-All and some hot glue, and then I take a piece of cardboard just to kind of adhere it better to the back. I just laid that right over the rope so it stayed better, wrapped it around my anchor, and just glued it in the back. And then I'm going to take that anchor and hang it from the center. There's so many different color combinations you can do with this. A friend of mine really liked this piece and she decided to make one for her father's beach house, but she did her anchor in white and I liked hers better because I just really liked the white with it. So again, any color combination, whatever works for you. I used that sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and I just kind of roughed it up a bit. And then I just took this piece of twine. The reason I did this is because I didn't want to glue it to that. It would have been a little heavy for that mesh. So I just, tied it right onto that wreath. And that's it. And just cut off any excess back there. And that is all to this piece. And I hope you like it. DIY number 6, Fairy Gnome Planter Home. Okay, so I took those coffee stirrers, I took some Spanish moss, some Waverly Chalk Paint and Antique Wax. I took these pieces of driftwood that I got from Dollar Zone. This is from the Dollar Tree. It's one of their larger planters. And yeah, piece of cardboard. If anything else, I'll let you know. All right, so I just am taking this cardboard and I'm cutting it into the size of what I would say would be the size of a door. I'm going to take my stirring sticks, or you can take popsicle sticks, whatever. These are a little thinner, the coffee sticks, that's why I used these, but again, whatever you have is fine. So I just kind of engaging how thick I want it, and that worked out perfect for me. So I'm just going to cut off that extra. I will cut along the bottom. That's why I hung it over the edge a little bit at the bottom, and at the top I hung it over a lot. I'm going to take my scissors and cut it into an arched shape, so we have an arched door to our little gnome home or fairy home, whatever you want it to be. So then I took my antique wax from Waverly and I am just staining this real quick. Now, the reason I like the wax better than stain is because this wax dries a lot faster than stain and it does not smell as bad as stain. So then I took another piece of cardboard, I cut it into a little circle, and that is going to be my doorknob. So I will just glue that on, pick a side, and I used it on my left side. I used hot glue and it held just fine. Now I'm going to have to try to figure out how I'm going to put that door on there. Now, the reason being is the planter kind of tapers on the bottom. So your door would have been tapered. So this was my way of fixing that problem. Plus it looks really cool. So I took those pieces of driftwood and I'm using it as in the base, and I will put a piece of driftwood in the back as well, so that way it will like pull the bottom of the door out a bit and it won't look odd. You see what I mean? It's kind of going straight down then, and then when you build around the sides with the rocks, you won't even notice, but it will look more straight up and down rather than leaning back, or leaning forward, I should say. So you can see I kind of just put a ton of glue, but you really can't see it, so that's okay. I glued that at the bottom. Now I'm going to glue a piece to the top. And again, I just picked pieces that kind of fit together. If you cannot get driftwood, which you might not be able to, and you might not be able to get the Hobby Lobby, use sticks. It will look very cool. Go outside, you can find sticks anywhere. Go get some sunshine, get some fresh air, and go find little sticks, break them apart, and it will look just as good. I promise you. I had these, and that's why I used them. This was, again, I did this last summer. This is not made this summer. All right, so what I did here is I took some pieces for the sides, and I just glued them. At this point, I started using E6000. Just because I think I was afraid it wasn't going to stick, but it was fine with the hot glue. Another thing, if I would have done this over again, I would have got super glue. I love the super glue gel. I know I just said that before, but that just would have held this a lot better, I think. And I wouldn't have had to hold on the rocks as long when I hold them up to the planter. So if I did this again, I would use the super glue gel and buy like a little bottle from the Dollar Tree, a bunch of them, or just buy one big one from somewhere else. So I'm just gluing that on and pressing it up and holding it there a minute and pressing from the back. That's what you definitely have to do. See how that's kind of like all pulling away? You gotta just keep pushing from the back and push from the front. Hold it there for a while and it'll eventually will stay. Now I'm going to be moving on to the sides. Again, I did this with driftwood still before I got into the rocks, and those are the sides of the doors, kind of like just so that you don't notice that there's something behind that door pulling it out. So now I'm making the windows. So I just take another piece of cardboard, a little square, and then I did the same thing. I put the stirring sticks, the coffee sticks on top, rounded them out, and staining it. I will take some driftwood, or you can take whatever, like branches, and I'm putting one on the top and one on the bottom, kind of like a little windowsill, and it turns out so ridiculously cute. This little planter is just, it makes me so happy, and anytime anyone came to my house and saw it, they just could not believe that someone made this. Well, not that I made this, but they just thought it was like store-bought, and yeah, it's really cool. It's a fun thing to do with kids as well. Just don't let them use the hot glue, or any glue really. Okay, don't do it with your kids. Just do it yourself. All right, so now I'm just taking the hot glue and I'm holding on those rocks. Like I said, I did go back with some E6000 to make sure they stayed on. The hot glue was kind of pulling away. You can see there. Again, if I would do this again, I would go in with the super glue. And just watching this part of the video, it gives me anxiety because I remember what I was feeling at this moment. But for some reason, after this point, it all went so smoothly. But I want to show you that everyone has struggles. What I always tell my students, every problem has a solution. You just have to find out what works for you. So I didn't give up, and I just went in with, as you can see, I just kind of put all my rocks out, my flatter rocks. I took my E6000, or you can take the Fix-All or super glue, and I laid them all out, and then I went back with my hot glue and put them right on. But I did it super fast, because if the hot glue dries a little bit, it didn't adhere well. Also, my glue gun was not a high heat glue gun, so that would matter too. If you use a high heat glue gun, it would probably stick better. But after that really rough beginning, it got so much better. And then they just went on with no problem. All right, so now I am just finishing up with those rocks. I did not put it around the whole thing. I did not want it around the whole planter. I wanted it only in the front. I took these little wood stumps from the Dollar Tree. I love those things. I hope they got them again this year. I think they did. I think I saw someone do a haul with them. And I took my Spanish moss and my, is that the reindeer moss? Well, it's the other green moss that they have at the Dollar Tree. Both of those are from the Dollar Tree, and this is where it starts looking so cool. I just take the hot glue, put little like bits of hot glue in between those stones, and then I took this moss, this green reindeer moss, I think it's the reindeer moss, and I just stuck it in those holes. Let me just tell you how cool that looked. I got the Spanish moss ready, but I definitely liked the green moss better. And you can see how it's all coming to life. At first you're like, oh, there are all these holes. You can tell it doesn't all fit together. Look at that. That is just so cool. I forgot how cute this is. Okay. And then I just go around and it just looks awesome. And just hot glued it in those little places where I saw it pulling up right around the edge. And that was it. I kind of left it, you know, organic on the sides. I did not make like a line or anything. I just left it like that. So now I took these little flowers from the Dollar Tree. I think they're the baby's breath from there. And I glued them right on those little wood stumps, right around the door. So cute. And I just put it right on top. So these are from the Dollar Tree. They're like little, like, you know, they have those little fairy home pieces. Well, I got a couple little packs, and this one says a welcome sign. These are some, actually, I think all three of them were in one pack. And here are some mushrooms. I'm just going to put that along the side. The little welcome sign, I'll put right there on that wooden stump. And then I take this little mailbox, so ridiculously cute, and put it on the other stump on the other side. And at this point I took off that little mushroom, and I'm putting it, I glue it onto the stump. It actually holds better on there, so yeah, I like it like that. And now I'm just taking this large bottle of paint to make sure it dries where I want it to dry. I use Vaseline on any glues so that I can open them the next time a lot easier. And here's my finished product, and I hope you like it. On to DIY number 7, Summer Camping Rustic Sign. I took this Waverly Chalk Paint in white and these 3 arrow stickers. They're kind of like a metal sticker. They're real thick. I love them, from the Dollar Tree. And I gave them a good coating in white, waited for that to dry, and gave them another coating. I took this piece of wood, 25 cents from Habitat for Humanity Restore, and I just used a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and just gave it a once over because it was a little rough, but you can't beat 25 cents. Then I took this Waverly Antique Wax and I used it as a stain. Now this wood was not treated in any way and it was real rough, so it took the stain really well. And then I am just wiping some of it off, and it just looked so rustic and old, and I loved it. Now I took these cutting boards from the Dollar Tree, and had 3 of them, and I roughed them up a little bit with the sanding sponge so that it takes the antique wax a little better, and waited for it to dry a little bit before I wiped it off, because it really doesn't take the antique wax as well as like a raw wood raw wood. So you could see I kind of went over it a couple times to get the effect that I wanted, wiped it away, and then I went back and did the edges. Now I'm just doing that second coat on those arrows. So I wanted to show you the technique I did on these. I took some paper towels, or you can just use your paintbrush, and I kind of just stippled it on the top. I like the effect it gave the arrows, and yeah, so that's what I did. I actually went and I tried to put some antique wax on top to make them a little rougher, and then I did not like them, so I went back over with the white. I'm kind of measuring where my center is, and then I take my center letter, which is the N, and I put that on first, and then I build from there. I'll go out to the right, and then I'll go out to the left. And I'm spelling out adventure. So I take this paint pen from Walmart. Got this from Walmart. It's a white paint pen, and I really like these. It started working out beautifully in the beginning, and then in a little bit it did not work as well, just because I think the wax on the wood kind of was interfering with the paint. And yeah, so I'll show you how I fixed that in a minute. But in the beginning, you could see here it was working great just to outline it all. And I just went through and traced over all of that, the pencil that I did. And now you can see I'm doing the middle, and you can see I keep pushing down the little tip to get the paint flowing, and it's just not working. So I just kind of let it go. I'm waiting for it to dry. I'm going to stop messing with it. And then again, I need to find a solution to my problem, because what I'm doing is not working. So I keep trying. So I think it's going to work, and then it just doesn't. I'm just taking some hot glue and putting it on those arrows. I do think I went in with a different type of glue as well, because the hot glue does not work very well. Yeah, see, I remembered that. Hot glue does not work well on metal like that. It just, I don't know, it just peels right off. I used my E6000, and that really held it in place. Again, what do I always say? You could use your super glue. And I put 2 arrows facing down, 1 facing up. And that's it for this part. Okay. Just kind of like taking any excess off. I love to show you guys that I use my Vaseline. I use the Vaseline for everything. I'm not even kidding. All right, and that's what that looks like so far. And this is where I'm going in with my little paintbrush, and I'm just going to kind of go right in the middle. I'm not going over the edges, because those are already nice and crisp from the paint pen, or the paint marker, I should say. And I'm just kind of filling it in so it gets a little more thick in the middle. Now, with saying that, it's so funny when I watch these over, because then I think, why was I so worried about it being so perfect in the center? Because you will see in a minute that I go and rough this thing up like crazy. So I'm taking this really gritty sandpaper, and look how I go over it. What was I thinking that I was so worried about it? Anyway, now I'm taking my antique wax from Waverly. I didn't really like that, but notice you can just wipe it off. I just took like a baby wipe, and it literally just came right off, because I didn't like that effect. That was not what I was looking for. A lot of times I like to leave in my mistakes so that you can learn from my mistakes, because we all make them, and I want to show you not to be so worried about things, because yeah, baby wipes, Vaseline, all that good stuff, you can just go right over stuff and fix it. Now I'm taking that same sanding sponge and just roughing up those cutting boards where the arrows are, just to make them look like they were outside, maybe at a camping ground, or I don't know, something like that. And now I'm taking these eye hooks from the Dollar Tree. If they come in that, I don't know, it's like in their auto section or their tool section. It's like a whole bunch of hooks in a big plastic container. That's where they were in there. And I'm just marking where I'm going to put those hooks at. And I take one of the nails that's in that same package at the Dollar Tree, and I put it a little bit in with my hammer. I hammer it in, and then I pull it right out. That starts my hole, because if you don't do that, these eye hooks are horrendous to get in. That's my little tip for you. So I'll show you again. See how cute that is hanging? So I just take that same nail, because I'm not going to use it, so it's okay that it's bent. I take my hammer, start out a little hole, remove it, and then that starts my eye hook, and it's so much easier, so much less muscle to get that in. I did 3 of those. 1 eye hook for each arrow. And just turn them till they can't turn them anymore, and that will make sure they're nice and tight. And here's my 3rd one and my last one. So now I'm going to show you some options for how you're going to hang each of those arrows on there. So I am going to use the back of like some of the frames that you get at Dollar Tree. They have these little hooks on the back. I'm going to use that. However, if you do not have that, you can use a soda tab. That would work just as well. You can just hot glue it there, or like staple gun it there or something. But I'm going to have mine stick up like that. So out of that same toolkit, that little kit that you get at the Dollar Tree, they have little push pins in there. So I just put that push pin in that little hole on that hook, and then I just hammer it in to make sure it stays. And that's it. And that has held up perfectly fine. And I do that to the back of all 3. And then you can see how they just hang right on there. And now I'm just like going over it a little more just to make sure it's rough enough. And I hung it the same way as I did the other one. I took that floral wire and I just looped it around my finger, hot glued that on, and then I actually staple gunned it too, just to make sure I had it nice and secure. And did that on both sides. And that was my wire on how I was going to hang it. And that was it. And this piece was like, I really loved this piece. I thought it was so cute. It's really cute for a little boy's room or a playroom, or if you have like a very rustic theme to your house. I just think it's a really cute, it's cute for a present for somebody. And you just kind of like hang it just like that. And just, yeah, let's staple gun it a few more times so it goes nowhere. And there you go. And I'll show you how it's going to look on my wall. I hope you like this. Okay, DIY number 8, Summer Airy Centerpiece. So what I did was I took this Waverly Chalk Paint in white and these 3 little square trays. Now I got these from Michael's. They were $1 each. I got them in the front section, like that dollar section. There's like a whole bunch of bins. They were in there and I thought these would be really cute for something. So I painting them white. 1 good coat I think is good enough. I took these rocks from the Dollar Tree and I am just putting some in each of the 3 tall the glass vases from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm showing you can either put in some succulents, or like I did, I am doing actual candles, white candles. They're votives from the Dollar Tree. I just think it looks really summery and fresh and airy and light. You can lay this down the center of your table. You could put all 3 on a fireplace. I just think it's such a pretty look. And then if you light them, it's just a nice summer feel. Or if you're having a picnic, something you could put outside. And then I just took out some of the rocks so that I could get that candle down a little deeper and then put them right back in around the candle. And that was it for this part. This part was so easy. Then I just took some twine and I'm just hot gluing that on, and I'm just going to wrap it around. I like when twine crisscrosses. I don't like it like completely straight. And then I'll just go around to the back and hot glue it. And I did that to all 3 pieces. Cut off any excess and just hot glued it on. And if those if those strings are moving for you, you can always go back and just add a hot glue dab here or there to make sure they don't move around. But if you tie it pretty tight, they should be okay. I found it easier also to hot glue and then keep the string still and move the vase. If I tried to wrap it around the vase, it did not go as well. It was harder to like maneuver that way. So that's what I learned. Move the vase, keep the string still. And then I'm showing you, like, I'm just putting them in just like that. And you can see how light and airy that looks. I just love these. Simple, easy, but yeah, cute. You will notice when I display these, I actually put some rocks in the base, but you don't need to do that. You can do it either way. I hope you like them. Okay, almost done. DIY number 9, lavender trellis sign. Okay, so I took this little fence part that's either from Dollar Zone or the Dollar Tree. I don't remember, but it really doesn't matter because you can get it at either. I'm cutting off any pieces that are jutting out from it, and I just used a scissor and that was fine. And then I'm just cutting off that 4th piece. I only wanted 3. Then I'm showing you that these little starter pots from the Dollar Tree, they like squishy. You get like, I don't know, 5 in a pack or something like that, 6 in a pack. But they're perfect for what we need to do here. So now I'm just taking my Waverly Chalk Paint in Mineral and I'm giving this a good coat. I gave this to my mom last year and she had it on her door in her 55 plus community, and she said a whole bunch of ladies came to her door and they were asking her where she got it, and it made her so proud to say my daughter made this for me. So yeah, it was so sweet. So then I take some hazelnut, some moss, both Waverly Chalk Paint, and I just kind of brushed over those pots, and I just kept layering paint. You know how, if you've been a part of my channel, I just like to layer paint until I get what I'm looking for. So here I am taking some Waverly Chalk Paint in ink, which is a black, and I mixed it with some white to give it a gray effect, and I just started going over that fence, and I really liked how that looked. Now I'm taking some Waverly Chalk Paint in white, going right around those starter pots, and yeah, I did it until I was pleased with what I saw. You could have left that fence the way it was and not even changed it. My mom's door is dark, so that is why I did not paint the fence dark. So I added a little purple to those starter pots because I'm going to be putting lavender in them, and I would recommend the lavender from Walmart. I just like it a little better than the lavender. This is from the Dollar Tree. It still looked really pretty, but I like the lavender from Walmart better. And if you just cut it apart, I actually think it looks a little prettier that way. And then I like to take the leaves and push them up towards the top, and I took some floral foam from the Dollar Tree and just kind of stuck those pieces in there. And I utilized both light purple and dark purple and kind of mixed and matched them in the pots. And I think it gave it a really natural look. Not as natural as fake flowers can. So now I'm taking some Spanish moss and I'm just taking some hot glue and just sticking that moss right in there. And that looks really pretty. Then I take this raffia, and that's going to be how I attach it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around my pot, and I kind of like crisscross it a couple times and then just tied a knot in the front. Then what I will do is I'll do that on both of them. And then what I'll do is I'll take another piece of raffia, tie it in the back where that raffia is and go like underneath it, and then tie it to the fence. And I'll show you that in a minute. So that's the knots in the front. And you can see I'm just laying them on, how it's going to look. And then I'm going to show you now how I'm going to attach it. So I take a piece of that same green raffia and just put it right underneath the raffia that's already on the pot, hot glued it in place on both of them, and then that's going to be my way to tie it to the fence. I used a little hot glue at the bottom to take the bottom of the pot to kind of adhere it a little better and to keep it from moving all over the place, and that worked out just fine. I love when I see those little hands come in there. So curious. Makes me laugh. Oh, that one came forward. I don't know why I love to move things so quickly. Like, I just don't let it sit. You know what I mean? Like rushy rush. And now I just cut off those extra little pieces around the raffia. And I'm using some Fix-All adhesive. This stuff will hold it just like an E6000 will, but it takes a long time to dry and cure just like the E6000 does. And there you go. Now I'm just tying the back now that the glue dried. And just knotted it, that was all. And again, if you wanted to remove these and put different, like something different on the front of it, you can by just taking off, you know, the raffia. And there's only just a little hot glue on there. And then I took the Waverly Chalk Paint in white and this really extra large popsicle stick, and I'm going to give it a good coating. I should have cut the ends first, but I didn't, so I cut them after. I want it to look like a little hanging sign at the bottom, and I'm going to write the word lavender. I'm just going to use I think I used a Sharpie, but you can use like a paint marker, whatever. Okay, so this was the way I was going to hang it. I don't really think it worked out that well. So, all right, so I just want to show you how I hung it, but you don't need to do this because I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I took this burlap, all right? Now this came like on a roll, and this was from the Dollar Tree, and I don't know if you remember this stuff, but it just kind of like frayed so easily. But I noticed that if I used like school glue and just ran it along, it kind of kept it in place and it wouldn't like fray apart. So that just was a way I did that. Now I took this wire from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to sandwich it between two pieces. You see how I'm kind of making it go around? So I'm hooking it onto the fence, all right? And then I'm going to take this Fix-All and I'm going to put a little bit on either side. And I'm going to take that lavender sign and put it right on top with that hot glue right there. A little bit of both. Let it dry a little bit. Then I'm going to flip it and sandwich. See how I wait for it to dry? I don't really wait. And then I'm going to sandwich it with another piece of burlap. Do I think this was the best way to do this? Probably not. But this was my idea at the time. And then I just sandwich that right in. And it stays, believe me, it's not going anywhere. I just feel like it was, I don't know. Sometimes like when I watch these back, I just laugh. Look at my finger. Oh my gosh. Just don't look. And then I will take this greenish twine. I'm going to wrap it around a couple fingers a few times, and I will just make a bow. Kind of like a farmhousey bow. And then I take another little piece to wrap around the center, tie that really tight in a knot, and cut off any excess. And there you go. And then I'm going to take that bow and glue it right to the top above lavender. And the word lavender, I actually free-handed that on there. I just had my phone to the side and I picked a font I liked and just kind of mimicked it. I think I'm sure I did it in pencil first, and then I went back over it in marker. Now I'm just taking this metallic marker, paint marker, and I'm just making like some leaves off either end. You don't need to do that. I thought it added a little something, but if you want to see how I wrote lavender, you can go back to the original video, and I'll have that linked below, and you can see how I wrote that. And here is the final product. I hope you like it. Okay, we made it. DIY number 10, Summer Wreath Refresh. Now, this one was a little different. This one came from a friend of mine. She was selling her house and she had this wreath. And yeah, she didn't like it and she wanted me to change it up for her. So I ripped everything off that was on it. I kept the two big leaves because I thought those were really pretty. And I'm just taking all that hot glue off. And I thought, this is a really good base. We're going to keep that. So what I did was any hot glue on those big leaves I took off, and I'm going to start with putting those down. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you. When I do wreaths, I think of it like, I don't know if you know this, but if you've been with my channel a long time, you know, but I'm a teacher. So I think of when I set wreaths up almost like the writing process. So right now, I'm doing my organization of my thoughts, right? And then I'm going to lay everything out to see how I want it to look. So that's like my rough draft. And then when I start hot gluing on, that's like my final product. So that's the way I look at this. Is that really weird? Is that even weird that I said that? Okay. Anyway, so right now I'm at the rough draft. I'm just laying everything on, seeing how I like it before I hot glue it, because I want to space it the best I can. This is Queen Anne's lace from the Dollar Tree. Those are dahlias from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just kind of making sure I keep some of that greenery with the Queen Anne's lace, and I'm just hot gluing that right on. Hold it for a second, and then I am just now taking the dahlias and putting those right on top. A lot of times when I do wreaths, I don't make the greenery or florals to go around the whole wreath. I kind of like when it's off-centered. I just like that look. But you can do this in any direction. I just wanted to show you here that taking a wreath either could be like a winter wreath or a fall wreath that you might find at a thrift store, or one you already have, and just giving it a new fresh look, it can just make a world of difference. So I always like to refresh the wreaths I have or find a cheap one somewhere, and look how pretty these can become. Just hot gluing that on wherever I see that it would look nice or fit in. And there you go. So at this point, I think it looks really pretty, but a lot of times I like when wreaths have like that organic look where like pieces are coming out of it. So you can see my boxwood on the side, and you know this if you watch my channel, but I love to buy garland from Hobby Lobby or Joann Fabrics because you just get a lot more greenery on there. And then I just rip off pieces, and that's how I use a lot of the greenery when I make wreaths or just, whatever. signs, and I am just taking some hot glue and just sticking those boxwood pieces in there, and it just kind of like sticks out all over on the inside of the wreath, on the outside of the wreath, and I just like that look. It's very natural looking to me rather than like that perfect circle. And I just think it adds just another, I don't know, another element, just that organic look. And just stick them in wherever. And if you stuck it out this long with me, thank you. God bless you. So this has been a long video. I hesitate doing 10 DIYs, but I got so much feedback that said you liked the 10 DIYs, and you know, you don't need to watch these all in one sitting, because I know that your time is valuable. Come back to it when you can. But thank you so much for sticking with me if you are still here. And now I'm just making a bow using Dollar Tree ribbon. It's kind of like a chevron. And then I just kind of double up 2 loops, and we'll cinch the center. And then I take some, it's kind of like a winter ribbon. It's gold and it's mesh, but I'll show you that in a second. And I put that in the back just to add another layer. I just used hot glue. Took another little piece and that folded it in thirds, and that's going to be my center. So here's that ribbon I was telling you about. What's really nice, and another tip, is buy ribbon at the holidays, like at Christmas time, because you get so much ribbon for a good price. And then buy something that you can use all year round, because yeah, it's a really, really good deal when you do that. And I just cinch the center of 2 little pieces. Then I'm going to put those together, put the other 2 pieces on top, fluff it up, and then tie that little piece of that I folded in thirds around the center. Hot glue it. Oh, I took a piece of twine first and tied that on, because it would have been a little hard to hold it in place and put that around the center. I took some hanging ribbon, just kind of like the tails, put that in the back, and just hot glued that center around. And just cut off the excess. I actually cut off more than that. And it just added a little airy look to it. And then I just take some extra sprigs I found that I thought it could just add a little extra. And that's it, and I hope you like it. Okay, here we are at the final reveal, my favorite part of the video. So I'm going to show you a quick picture of all of the 10 DIYs I just did. Well, actually minus the bag, but in the description box below, please tell me which one of these was your favorite. I'm going to go with, it's either the Gnome Fairy Planter or the Rock Nautical Frames. Oh, the blue one. I don't know. I'm going to probably go with the Rock Nautical Frames because, I don't know, it's so pretty, but I do love that fairy one. I'm still going to go with the nautical one. All right, so tell me in the description box below which one's your favorite, and thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye.
So that's it. That's the end of my video. I hope you liked everything you saw here today, and I hope it inspires you to make something of your own. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you've subscribed, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye! Hi, welcome back to my channel, According to Cat. I hope you... But if you are making something of your own, please stay. No. I hope you liked everything you saw here today, and I hope it inspires some. Summer's coming. Warmer weather. Outdoor. We're gonna get through this, guys. Stay inside, stay safe, and be well. My door just opened by itself.